that'll bring us to the battle for 10th in the standings. That is Scott Palmer. And that is Sean Langdon, a man who got a late start to the season. Sidelined as part of Don Schumacher's race team. Along came the Global Electronic Technologies folks that teamed up with the Kalitas. And he is now trying to do everything he can with now 9 races before the countdown to the championship starts, getting into 10th. We're talking about a David versus Goliath. David in this case, Scott Palmer. Smaller team, less experience, going up against one of the big teams, Team Kaleta.
Well, for Scott Palmer, that could be a little bit intimidating. However, they do receive a lot of help from the Steve Torrance team. And we can see that Steve Torrance had one of the quickest runs, one of the better runs of that first round. So with that data, that evens up the playing field somewhat for Scott.
What evens it up even more? And warm, sticky conditions. Haven't quite seen that upset we necessarily had expected here in round number 1, but it's certainly lurking out there. And Scott Palmer can take down that man, Sean Langdon. It's going to make it even tougher for Langdon to crack the top 10.
Well, even though Scott is ahead of him currently, it would be considered an upset if he can beat Sean. But right now, Sean Langdon has the momentum.
40-point swing of the points on the line right now. Who's going to get 20? Who's going to lose 20? It's going to be the 10th place runner, Scott Palmer, putting a little bit more distance, daylight, if you will, between he and Sean Langdon. The road to the top 10 just got tougher for Langdon. 3,888 for Scott Palmer, the winning numbers as Palmer advances to take on Brittany Force next round.
You know, there's this saying in racing that this is why they don't race him on paper. Sean Langdon coming in just off a fresh semifinal finish, the better qualified car, trying to knock his way into that top 10, and he was well ahead of Scott up until we see some breakage. On the right side of the screen, you can see that Sean Langdon car start to lose traction, tried to get back in the throttle, and lurking there just waiting for anything to happen was Scott Palmer. And attrition is part of the name of the game here, and you can see Sean Langdon having his troubles, and they were pressing a little too hard. But when you have an opponent like Scott, sometimes you have to press.
So great pass for that team as round number 1 for Top Fuel has now been completed. The best number in terms of elapsed time came courtesy of Doug Kaleta, a team with electronic issues, but they fixed those to go 3.762 seconds. From Top Fuel, you know what comes up next. It's Funny Car.